All right, welcome into a new episode of the Blue Guys, episode 16 now. We got a special guest with us. We had to cut the last episode short with him. And so I figured we might as well just bring him on from the beginning. You know, it's a big week. We got the Final Four and everything, but we got Elijah with us today. We'll go over some of the last games, go over this upcoming Final Four, talk a little bit about some memories and stuff that Elijah has, and just talk about the upcoming schedule for Kansas. It was a big week. We knocked off Providence, we knocked off Miami, looked good in both games, but I want to start off and say, you know, let's not let this distract us from the fact that Will Smith went up on stage and smacked the hell out of Chris Rock a few days ago on national television. So, that was probably, you know, Kansas fans may put the Final Four ahead of that. But as far as just news and storylines, I mean, that was probably the number one leading topic going into things.
It absolutely was. And I can tell you one thing, you know, the internet is always the best right after something like that happens.
Oh, yeah, you got to go.
Immediately, I'm laughing out loud to the picture of his mom from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And it said that after the fight that his mom sent him to live with his auntie and uncle in the Bel-Air. I just thought that was so funny. But, it's sad that happened. And I know that at first it looked staged to me. I don't know about you guys, but it looked staged. But, it sounds like it was for real. And I know that it was, it was just sad that to see somebody of his stature and to be able to kind of succumm to that, but he apologized for it, and it's not like anything's going on.
I don't know if we want to talk about this.
Talk about it. Let us know what you think.
I'll be honest with you, man. I don't think that man did nothing wrong, and people gonna think that I'm wrong for saying that. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, the number one person in his life is supposed to be his wife. When you take vows, that's what that means, and they got a lot going on. They done had a lot going on in these last couple years. And it seems like it's only getting worse. We forget that they've been messing with them for the last 10 years. They've been picking on that family, like just voicing everything, every opinion they got. So to me, when he made that joke, when I first heard it, because I saw the video late, we get back from the gym late. We try to catch the end of the games. We trying to do that. And then Nat fell asleep. So when she fell asleep after the games, I finally opened my phone up. I'm not big on my phone, but I finally opened my phone up and it's just everywhere, man. And when I first heard the first joke, I kind of felt like it was staged at first until I saw the slap. I thought it was staged because, what would make him say that? Yeah. What would make Chris Rock say that, I don't understand what made him say that. So once he finally said it, in my eyes and in my mind, I don't even think Will know what he said. I think if you see video, Jada looks very mad. And Will was laughing. I think that after the camera turned, Will looked over and he saw her and he her mad. And then he's realizing what the joke was, right? As a husband, I can't sit back and not do anything about that. Maybe not get up and walk on stage and slap him.
Well, that's the piece though that I'm talking about, is that it just
walking on stage,
walking on stage and putting your hands on another grown man like that. I just think that there's got to be other ways. He's Will Smith. I mean, come on now.
The setting was bad because of the fact that, and this was stuff I learned after. I don't really watch the Oscars like that, but it was the first time that Black producers got to produce the Oscars. There was a ton of Black, people getting recognized and stuff, and it took away from that. And that's the downside. I will say my hypothesis on all this, what I think happened, is I think he snapped into character. I think that I've been in LA long enough around actors and actresses. They buy into these roles so much. And he did, to the point where he won an Oscar for it. And if you've watched the movie King Richard, he reacts in that same way on the tennis court when those guys were talking to his daughters. And this is
come on, that's a stretch.
Think about it. Think
that's
about it.
Such a
no,
stretch.
no. Think about
it. Give me a break.
But they said
that he snaps into it like he smacked the alien in Independence Day.
I'm telling you,
come on.
I'm telling you, these actors, they get so deep into this role. And I'll tell you another reason why I think this. Did you hear what Chris Rock said to him while he was walking up on the stage? What he called him? He said, Richard. He said, oh, Richard. He laughed and goes, ha ha, Richard, because that was the name of the dad in the role.
So he just
and no, I think it was a combination of what he was feeling, and then now he knew he had somebody who he could emulate on how to react in that situation. That's my thought. But
that means grasping at straws. That's what that means.
I hear you, Landon. I hear you. I'm indifferent about it. I agree with you. You shouldn't just go put your hands on a grown man. I get that. That's the case with anybody. You shouldn't go put your hands on anybody. But I feel like at the same time, if that was my wife and we've been going through everything in the world, I'm not caring about outer interference. I think that I'm going to approach that situation right there. That's me personally. Yeah. I know it's a lot different to say that when you on TV and at the Oscars and around all of these people and the event and the storyline and everything that's supposed to be important. But in the heat of the moment, man, I can't look over at my wife being embarrassed about her disorder and everybody in the damn room was just laughing at it. And the guy that's supposed to be somewhat understanding started this joke, like, I don't know. If Will didn't do anything, what do you think that does for him at home?
Yeah, I think the middle ground would have been him yelling what he yelled without having to go up on a stage and just said that, everybody would have got quiet. Chris Rock would have apologized and stuff. Ain't my bad and stuff. They would have moved on. He could have made a scene without having to do that. But I mean, at the end of the day, those guys, we expect that because they're on the stage, and this from us being on a little bit of a stage playing at Kansas, they expect you, because you have a platform, you're supposed to act perfect, and everybody, we're all humans at the end of the day. You're not going to react exactly how you're supposed to. And he reacted the way he felt like he needed to. And it is what it is. But let's move on. Let's get into basketball, because the same way Will smacked Chris Rock, we smacked Miami in the second half and came back. I want to get your guys' opinions on obviously there was two games, the Providence game, the Miami game, but what do you guys think of those two games? What were your guys' opinions after watching those, as far as, this team, what they went through at halftime of that Miami game, being down to then going on like a 40-something to, I think, 15 run in the second half? How do you guys perceive those games and feel about the team moving into the Final Four now?
Oh, go ahead.
I'll go second.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that, when first of all, I want to start talking about just the path to the Final Four. We've talked about always for years, it's about matchups, because you just never know who you're going to run into, and you have to be perfect, or at least as close to perfect as possible, to be able to navigate the minefields and to make it to a Final Four. Mm-hmm. So KU was kind of lucky, because if you think about it, in the Elite Eight, they were playing a double-digit seed, regardless of who it was. So now it doesn't mean the double-digit seed can't beat you. It just means that there's a reason why they are a double-digit seed. And so what I really liked about the Providence and then obviously the Miami game is the fact that it felt like, even though they were behind against Miami, it stretches, and I think even at halftime, I think they were behind, or at least it was very, very close. It never felt to me, and I don't know what you guys think, but it never felt like I was never worried. It never felt like KU wasn't in control of the game, even though they may have been behind it. I know that sounds weird, but it still felt like they were just doing what they will end up doing what they need to do. So it was never a nail biter, in my opinion. And then obviously whatever Coach Self said at halftime of that Miami game, that works, because that second half, they definitely showed that they were the superior team.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I think that Landon, you know this more than anybody, but it's a part of the year where coach kind of just leave you alone.
I was
And
just telling somebody that.
it feel good when he leave you alone for one day. It feel good when it feel real good when he leave you alone for 2 or 3 days. So like once mid-March get there, after that first, maybe the second game in the conference tournament, and then that first and maybe the second game in the real tournament, after those games, like all of the extra time that you have after that, coaches, he's giving you that thing that he give us. And I don't know how to explain it, but like, he not really giving us nothing. He just leaving us alone. So if you can go 10 days without him messing with you, you're going to be a completely different person. So the way I'm seeing it right now is them boys have been left alone for 10, 12 days, and now they just rolling, like the perfect person for me. Well, Jalen and Remy make me feel like that's what's happening because Jalen's he's not really rolling, but he's not giving up. Like he still ain't gay. I feel like he might be the glue person at the Final Four because I don't feel like he's really done anything like loud and boisterous. Like forget the stat line. Like he hasn't done anything loud and and Remy too. But I think coach just leaving them alone, man. He ain't sprinkled no special dust on them or nothing. He just not irritating them every day.
Yeah, no, and that's huge. I mean, it's big for confidence. It's big for I remember going into those March and the tournaments and stuff. I always felt the most free at that point. Like just go out, play. That's what he expected. He prepared the whole team all season long for this moment, for these games, and then he just there's a lot more freedom. You feel a lot more free on the court. At least I did. I was fortunate, and same with you, that the tournaments I participated in, the 3, not the first one, but the 3 after that, sophomore, junior, senior year, by the time the tournament came around, I had, full reign to, I wasn't looking over my shoulder, anything like that. And if you get to that point as a player for Coach Self in this moment, it's just go play. It's almost like a structured pickup, like he's letting you get out there and play. He's gonna, do his coaching when coaching needs to be done. But as far as just the play-by-play stuff, there's a lot of just feeling free feeling. You're not thinking about overthinking different things that he might be saying to you or whatnot. And so it definitely,
or what you got to think about what he gonna possibly say to you. That's always bad too. Like sometimes it's almost worse to think about what he could say to you than him saying something to you. That's almost worse sometimes.
So I got a question, since I've never had a Kansas across my chest, so you guys have. So my question to you is at this point in the year, you talk about leaving you alone. Does that also mean like actually on the court? I mean, as far as plays, is coach still calling every single play, or is that more kind of Remy and Jalen, those guys kind of taking things into their own hands?
I don't know. I can't speak for the different eras. I don't know how Mario Chalmers and Sharon and them did it. I got 1 year with Sharon. I know how me and Tyshawn did it. Well, I know how Tyshawn did it. I know how I did it. I really don't know. I don't know if he called every play for Frank. I don't know if he called every play for Devontae. I don't know if he's calling every play for them. I know during my time, and I don't want to say this to make it seem like I'm bigger than I am, because, but during my time, I felt like if coach made a suggestion, I was able to make a suggestion too. I didn't do it much, but like if coach was like, hey, let's run 2 spin, if he said something specific like that, all right, I'm doing it. But if coach just say something kind of like a set, I would say, hey, like, let's do maybe L down or Toledo or whatever the case may be. I would throw stuff out like that. But when I look back on it, I don't ever remember hearing another guard do that at Kansas. I don't remember that.
You brought up a good memory with the L down play, man. That was where I got all my alley-oops off of.
I remember that play worked every time. They're running it right now. Every time they run it, I'm like, that's a lob.
Yeah. No, it I would say around this time, as far as from my experience, throughout the year, Frank and Devontae, they had freedom in the sense of like plays and stuff for the most part. Out of timeouts were always, a very strict thing.
Execution.
But when I say freedom, and I think same with Elijah, it's more so like just the feeling of it, like just all around, like it's hard to explain. It's not just what plays we're running and all those stuff, those things. It's just the feeling of just like, that you're not going to be, running the next day in practice and having to do this, and this. You're just playing because really at this point in time, it's just all on the court. You got to leave it all on the court. You're not thinking about, all kinds of other things. And so there's just a different level, and I don't really know how to explain it, but you feel it. You feel it going into March. He backs off a little bit in just a lot of different things and lets the players play. And if you're one of his guys, you got that full trust that it's just like, go out and hoop, So he does a good job at it. Obviously, he's had a lot of success in the tournament, so whatever he's doing is correct. And now they're to another Final Four, and a Final Four that, I mean, I can't remember a Final Four with this many like storylines and big name teams. You got Villanova, Kansas, Duke, and North Carolina. I mean, imagine the T-shirts and stuff being made for that Final Four. I mean, that's a ton of blue bloods. You got the storyline of Duke and North Carolina meeting for the first time in the tournament, which is in the Final Four. Coach K's last season, and North Carolina just smacked them in Cameron.
Get them. Villanova smacked us last time.
Or not North Carolina. Sorry, North Carolina just smacked them. Villanova smacked us in the last Final Four. So there's all these storylines that you got going into it. What is the thing you guys are most excited for? This Final Four. What storylines are standing out to you that you're excited to watch going into this?
Well, for me, I can just tell you that this played out pretty close to, I mean, of course, blue bloods and big name schools in the Final Four. It's not always that's the case, but it's funny how when people think about March Madness, what makes it so appealing is that anybody can beat anybody at any given time. A 16 can beat a 1. We've seen the run of St. Peter's. I mean, it's like there's such excitement. But here's the difference. In the end, it's always a 1, 2, or a 3 seed, basically, who is, for the most part, who's in the Final Four. And then obviously this year you've got, this is just such a loaded Final Four. And I would imagine ticket sales, especially because of the whole Coach K and North Carolina and all that stuff. I mean, ticket sales are going to be through the roof for sure. So I'm looking forward to just seeing great teams go against each other, and also great coaches. I mean, think about the experience that is around there. I mean, obviously, what's the name at North Carolina is not as experienced as a head coach as the others, but he's been around for the game for a really long time. And so it's going to be fun. It's going to be an exciting one, even though we don't have it would have been kind of fun to have a double-digit seed or something make it in there. But I think it's going to be an outstanding Final Four.
That ain't fun to me. I don't know why I don't like that.
It's fun. It's fun. It just,
for the average fan rooting for the underdogs, it's fun.
It's kind of fun because if you think about it, there's for a team like a St. Peter's, I didn't even know where they were where they were located before this tournament, and then you know all about them. Loyola Chicago with the Mama Jean or whatever her name is. It's like there's all these stories that come around it. It's all these things that you learn along the way. We know that Duke is Duke. We know that KU is KU. Yep. You know what I mean? But it's just the stories that come from it. And I kind of equated a little bit to the Olympics a little bit, because it's like you don't know of anybody, and all of a sudden you know who the American curler is, because there's some story about it that's so fascinating to see people dedicate their lives. Totally off subject, but
no, I like it too. I'm sorry. I like it too. I like to have a team play, but once it starts getting to like Elite Eight, I feel like, all right, good job. I want to see the game all year long, and we can't. That's what I want to see.
That's true. That's true.
Just like when we had a Champions Classic, Lando, I always wish that Michigan State wasn't in there and that was North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always wish that. I wish that we just had something where all of those top programs get a chance to play each other. But I guess it kind of would water it down if we played each other every year. So, I like this way too, but I don't like those double-digit seeds in the Final Four, though. Because they usually lay an egg. It's usually like a
That's true.
it's like a big old build up, and then they get there and it just be a little bit too much for them. It was too much for us, and we played in front of 16-3 every day. So, I just feel like it's a little bit too much for them. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve it. If you can win and get there, get there. I feel like those teams that are stronger, they should be able to beat you to get there. But I hate when it's like a fluke. I hate when it's like, oh, they missed 19 free throws. That's why they didn't win that game or whatever,
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
I mean, the nice thing about the tournament, which is great, is you can have storylines all throughout the tournament. Like the 16 seed or a 15 seed or 14 making a run to the Sweet 16 or something like that. That's a story in itself. That's the championship. You could follow that. You could do all these different storylines, and at the end of the day, still have the main programs and those big matchups in the Final Four, which Elijah is alluding to. You got the best of the best coming down to the end, and that's what you want. You want all these fun, crazy storylines, but when it really comes down to it, you want to see who's the best, in the country and who's playing, their best in this tournament. And so it's exciting. I'm excited for a ton of storylines. I will say, and this is being, just honest with you guys and Dad, you and it is tough. And I don't. Elijah's been to the national championship. You've played there. For me, this whole thing has been interesting because I haven't followed a Kansas team. I didn't follow the team afterwards with Devontae as much because I was overseas. And you know how it is with the time difference and stuff. You just don't get as into it. You can watch, you can follow scores, but you don't really know. Now I'm here. I'm watching every game for this podcast. And as a fan, it's been really fun. However, seeing Mass Street the way Mass Street was, seeing them walk in, and you've been a part of this, seeing them walk in with the trophy into Allen Fieldhouse, all that. After following this team all year long, it's hard for me to even watch some of those videos because as a fan, I'm excited. As a former player, and it's weird because I heard Frank on a podcast with Nick talking a little bit about Nick, your boy Nick.
Okay.
And he was talking, there was a clip where he said something about like how he was excited for, the team. And then Nick used some example about Scott Pollard, like not making it to a Final Four and then being so happy that the team after the 08 team won it because then he felt like they completed it and stuff. For me as a fan and as a alumni, it's so awesome to say, hey, I played at Kansas. Every piece of history they make is, just, I feel pride in that. However, I also feel pride in my teams that I was a part of and how good we were. And to see all of this happening, it sucks. I mean, I'm just going to be straight up and be honest with you guys. It is really difficult as a player to watch that and be like, damn, we were 2 Elite Eights as the number 1 overall seed, I believe both times, maybe number 2 one of the years with really, really damn good teams. And we could not get it done. And watching this team all year long and comparing myself to them, comparing our team to them and stuff, and then seeing them do this, it's fun as a fan, but I'm gonna say as a player, it hurts. It hurts. I'm just being honest. I'm watching. It's gonna be hard for me to enjoy the Final Four as a fan the same way because it's like this is one of the first Final Fours I'm actually watching since playing there. I haven't even been able to watch a Final Four because of how sick that made me not making it. And I don't know if you felt this at all with the national championship or if you were just happy, to make it, but it hurts so bad that I couldn't watch it. Now I'm going to watch this, but the excitement of all the, storylines and stuff, it gets kind of dulled down because I'm like, damn, I wanted that.
I hear you, man. And I think that I got a taste of that because my freshman year, we was the number 1 overall team. We had Sharon and Cole. I think we only lost like maybe 1, maybe 2 games that whole year. Mm-hmm. And we were going into the tournament. We won the first game. And then we went into that second game against Northern Iowa. And we never expected that to go that way. But when they beat us, I think after that game, that was when I kind of understood what was going on, Landon. Because like we went in the locker room, Dooley lost it. Coach Self didn't say much. Townsend didn't say much. We got dressed. We got on the bus. We went back to school. We dropped off our game readies, went in the locker room. And then when I started seeing Sharon and Cole, like kind of saying like bye, like of course we cried in the locker room. Mm-hmm. But once I started seeing them like say bye to all of the coaches and everything, that's when it hit me like, hey man, this shit is kind of real. Mm-hmm. This is real, you know? And then I feel like that's when my season started at Kansas. So me seeing that my first year, going into my second year, I felt like that was the best team I played on at Kansas with the Twins. Mm-hmm. That's what I believe. I believe that was the best team I played on at Kansas. And we were focused and we kept that in mind the whole time. You know how people lose track of it? Man, we kept it in mind the whole year. We're not doing what we did last year. And then we got to that Elite Eight game, bro. And VCU shot us out the gym. Mm-hmm. And that hurt it because at that time, I felt like this was my chance to go to the Final Four. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking. Like, this was my chance, like, you know. And then the next year, I never even thought about Final Four, or I never thought about none of that. Everybody thought that we were a step down or two. They didn't think we was that good. And we went all the way to the championship, and I never would have expected it to happen the way it happened. So I can't necessarily say I don't relate to it because I do, but I was able to. I still had 2 years after. But if that Michigan game my senior year, like if I never got what I got my junior year and then my senior year we lose like that, I could completely 1,000,000% understand how that would make. I don't think I would be watching this stuff right now. I really don't.
Well, and as a competitor, which Landon is, making a Final Four has always been something that was very important, and it's one of the reasons why. You know, when you start looking at the landscape of the schools that he had to choose from, you know, one of the reasons why he even went to KU is because that was the best chance to make a Final Four and be a part of a Final Four, even if he wasn't a starter, which he ended up being a 3-year starter there. But even if he wasn't a starter, it would have been great to be a part of a team that makes it to the Final Four. And I can tell you, you know, it's funny how you talk about your feelings for that. And I don't know if you know this, Elijah, but I played at the University of Oregon. And so it is, you know, I've been a Duck since I've been in college and always rooted for it. And obviously the one game I obviously did not root for them, but it is still hard for me. It got better as the players that were on that team that beat KU, when they were still there, I couldn't watch a game. I couldn't root for them for afterwards because I knew how much that broke my son's heart for him not to make Final Four. So
it's tough. I mean, it's something
like I'm hearing it from a different point of view, Landon. I was being selfish. I forgot that I got there, so I just felt like
you got there. But the hardest part for me was I watched you guys in 2012 because that was the year I committed, make it all the way there. And then I go through years of like, you know.
Didn't you come down there? I'm sorry to cut you off.
Didn't
you come to New Orleans?
No, I didn't come to New Orleans. I was there for a few visits, but I didn't come to New Orleans. But I haven't been to a Final Four. But then we had all those different, you know, teams, including the two that I was being able to play the biggest role in, you know, great teams. And then nothing happens. And then the next year, I leave, I'm overseas. And the next year, a team that barely, won the Big 12 throughout. Obviously, Malik came in and gave them a big burst, and they got all the way to the Final Four. And I'm thinking, damn, I missed. I was 1 year too late and 1 year too early. And not only, it would be one thing if those teams were just like mediocre teams or whatever. It's like we, had a chance, but it wouldn't feel as bad as the fact that we had teams that my senior year, we had the biggest winning margin going into the Elite Eight. We were smacking people, and then we lose in the Elite Eight to Oregon. And like,
okay. You saying the Oregon game?
The Oregon. Well, there's two. We lost to Villanova my junior year because that was in the Elite Eight because Devontae was diving for a ball down one and dived and grabs the ball. Huh?
In San Antonio.
No. We were in Louisville. We and Devontae dived for a ball and took out somebody's legs while he didn't even really take out their legs or anything. Got the ball. They called a foul on him. And then we lost that game. That team ended up going on. That was the Chris Jenkins team who they hit the game winner against North Carolina that year. And I didn't even watch that Final Four. I just saw the highlights of it. And then the very next year was the Oregon team that we lost to in the Elite Eight.
That was in Kansas City.
I was in Kansas City.
So what year was Devontae? Because I'm confused now. I mean, I know this ain't what this is about, but I want to make sure, because I was there. I went to the when they lost to Villanova.
That was Final Four. That was the year afterwards. So that was Devontae's senior year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was after I left. His sophomore year and Perry's senior year was my junior year. We lost to Villanova in the Elite Eight. That was the number one team. And then we came back the next year, got back to the Elite Eight. It was in the Sprint Center. And we lost against Oregon. And then the next year was the year that you remember where Devontae and them went on the run to the Final Four. And then, unfortunately,
they didn't make it to the Final Four that year, though.
They did.
No, they didn't.
What do you think happened then? They played
Devontae,
the Final Four.
Devontae and them didn't make it to the Final Four that year, did they?
Yeah, they made it to the Final Four, but they got
You know what? I'm tripping because I started calling them Forte.
Yeah.
I started calling them Forte. I started calling them number 4 and Devontae. I started calling them Forte. You right. Dude, I'm getting old. I'm twisting these years up, y'all. So where was that Final Four at?
That one was that might have been San Antonio. I'm not 100% sure. To be honest, like when I say I did not watch a Final Four, I have not watched the Final Four since being at Kansas. I mean, this will be the first one that I watched because I can't physically watch it because I'll be sick to my stomach watching it. So unfortunately, I mean, it's fun and we're talking about storylines and I will say if you can't write a better storyline than this whole Coach K retiring and North Carolina and stuff. Like, I am excited for that. And then
this will be fun.
I'm excited to watch it. But when I say it's tough to watch the Final Four, I mean, as a player who had not got a chance to play there, who I feel 100% we had teams that should have. It sucks. And I was surprised that Frank came out because Frank, National Player of the Year, never made it to a Final Four. I was surprised. Frank may just be saying that, he's on a podcast, just answering questions in the proper way. Yeah, I'm happy for the team, this and that. I'm surprised he's not pissed off. Like, that.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna. This is gonna be a great way to kind of segue out of this.
Yeah, segue to something else.
I want you to feel good about this. Just so you know that I made the second round of the NIT. That's the farthest I got. Okay, so be happy with some Elite Eights. Okay,
all right.
Be happy with the NCAA. I would have given anything for one appearance in the NCAA tournament.
And that it's all perspective. That's the crazy thing. In Kansas, you just expect Final Four. You're gonna make a Final Four. Some teams are just happy to be in the tournament. But
yeah, hey, I did something that I never thought I would do since these tournaments started. I actually sat down and I watched, like, once the games go off at night, I'm a late night person. I stay up all night. Mm-hmm. So once the games go off at night, what I started doing was I watched all of the games that I played in in the tournament at Kansas, the ones that I could find. I watched my whole freshman year, which was only 2 games. I watched our sophomore year. I watched my junior year. So literally, I think maybe 4 or 5 days ago, I finished that game we played against Kentucky. Dude, that stuff is amazing how when you're doing it, like you just get so caught up, and it's like when you look back at it, dude, like I'm looking at that game, I didn't realize that we were that good, that I was playing that good, that I was that fast, that coach was that smart, that it was that many people in there, that Jamari and Ben were standing on the side with street clothes on. Like it's so much that came back looking back at it. And I feel like it helped me feel better about where I'm at now, because even though I got where I got, I always felt like, man, if I could, or if I would have, So for me personally, it kind of brought me a lot of peace to see it. And then I hate when you see people screaming at the TV telling people what to do. So when I was doing that, I was like, I feel like I got the right to do it because I did it and I watched myself do it. You know what I'm saying? But stuff like that can bring you some kind of peace, Landon. I know that you wanted that. It sounded like you wanted it more than me, to be honest, because I never was basing my decision off of getting to the Final Four. You know how the recruiting stuff go. You go for certain things. We were going after different things. My family wasn't focused on trying to get to the Final Four, if I'm being honest. But like looking back on that, man, looking at everything, it brought me some kind of peace, man, to see how good we were, or how good I was in the prime of my career. Because even though we're all pro, and I know that we're way better as pros because we're ourselves now, like, man, we were good, Landon. So if you ever feeling like, whatever,
I don't know if I could watch
look at something.
I don't know if I could watch the Oregon game, but
maybe not that game.
I've never seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
I still haven't even watched my last game either. Like I'm supposed to start my senior year. Like now, like I was supposed to start it yesterday, I think, and I can't. I haven't started.
Yeah, the Michigan one.
I can't.
I remember that. I remember
I'm trying,
that.
but I'm gonna do it though. I'm gonna do it though because I want to make sure that I'm walking away from this feeling like not falsely advertised. We did a great job, bro. We did a great job, man. And nobody gonna tell us that.
Landon,
Ain't nobody gonna tell us that. But the
I think
fans.
you and I need to get a pint of some ice cream and sit down, and we need to exercise.
Get it over with, man.
No,
we need
but
to exercise these demons, and we need to watch that Oregon game.
Hey, watch the good stuff first, though, man. Don't just go for that back. Watch that good stuff first.
And I know what you mean. Everything in your head always seems. I remember watching games where it's like it seemed really, really bad, and you watch it back, and it's like, oh, this
it ain't that bad.
But I can't. I don't know. We'll see. But transitioning to a more happy subject. You have been to a Final Four. You got that experience and making it to the national championship. And now these kids in New Orleans, the same place you were, are about to go back there. What can they expect? What is that experience like from that week? Obviously everything gets ramped up. You're now playing. We played in football stadiums before, but now it's a packed one that's, everybody's excited. The media's ramped up, everything, take us through from right now, which is Tuesday, this is going to come out on a Wednesday, I think, but from right now until, your first game on Saturday, what is this week like? What is it, the final experience like?
Man, it's so much going on down there. You're going to forget that you even down there to play basketball. Yeah. Like seriously, like when you get down there, you got all these interviews, all of these radio things, all of these promotional videos, all of the hype up videos. They just driving you around the whole arena in the golf cart, bro. Like it's just business. It's nonstop business. The NCAA gonna make sure that they get their free marketing from us, and they putting us in all these commercials and everything. You will not get a break. Your break will be when you go do shoot around. Think about that. We was rushing to go do shit. It's a lot. It's overwhelming, but man, it's so fun. And I don't think any of those kids, I'll get a chance to tell them this, but enjoy the whole thing. I was so focused down there on trying to win and everything that when we did our hype up videos and everything, I was just kind of a dud. You know what I mean? But the dudes that was having all of the fun, I realized they asses went home soon. So I wasn't that mad at it, but you know, it's a lot, Landon. Like it's like you know how we do our media day at the beginning of the year, we gotta talk and take pictures, and it's that times 1,000 around a big old stadium. You just being here, you going this way and Devontae going that way on the cart, and and it ain't like they taking everybody together, man. You getting gifts, you getting gear, you getting clothes, you getting good food, you seeing people like just Shaq and Charles in the hallways, like they talking to you. Like, it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. It's one of the most fun experiences I ever had in my life, man. And watching that Final Four last week brought a lot of that stuff back. So it's fun. I want to go and see what it feel like going as a fan.
Yeah.
But I that's too much right now, man. It's gonna be so hectic down there. I can't do that.
Well, the ticket's gonna be $10,000.
Well, come on. You think this guy got to pay for
it? Okay, my bad.
Come on, man.
Like, yo, I got connections.
Are y'all going, or are y'all just gonna hang out?
We talked about it, but no, we're probably just gonna hang out. I honestly, I didn't think, I was really excited to go, and then as it happened, I started feeling the type of way that we went into and stuff. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go. Like,
just not ready.
I don't know if I need more time than this. This is the first time I've followed a team and they're in the Final Four. I'm like, I think I need a little bit more time, but it's gonna be fun. Obviously the storylines are crazy, like we talked about. But who do you guys want to see? If Kansas does get past Villanova, and we'll quickly go over that game in a little bit, but who do you guys want to see in the championship? Is it the North Carolina 8 seed, so maybe a better chance for Kansas to win, or is it hey, we want to end the storyline of this Coach K winning the national championship?
It's gotta be just think about the hype on Monday night. If this is Coach K's swan song and he's in the championship game
against Kansas,
and guess who he's playing? Against Kansas. I mean, it just
that shit don't get no better than that.
It don't get no better than that.
You could have written a movie. You want to talk about
ratings? It's going to be one of the highest rated final era championship games that we've seen, and so and I want to see that chess match too between Self and Coach K as well. I mean, you got two of the best that have ever Hall of Famers.
Man, we gotta win this game, y'all. We gotta win this game. We gotta win this game. You getting me excited about it, man.
I'm telling you.
Think about it like that. That's gonna be fun, bro.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh man, his last one.
You couldn't write a better to have his revenge game against North Carolina, and then if he wins that, win it, and then come to the championship game, his final game of his coaching career against Bill Self in Kansas. I mean, that would be nuts. And that every Kansas fan that would be the storybook Kansas ending to send Coach K home with the L and win our 6th national championship. I mean, that would just be, you couldn't write it any better than that.
I don't think North Carolina has a place in the championship game. Let me just say that first of all. So on that side, that's just what it is. Like, I feel like they had a great run. I feel like they finna turn that program back around again. I'm happy for them. Cool. But I don't think that they deserve a national championship spot. So with that being said, I almost think that they're intimidated and they won't even be able to perform to get to that championship game. That's what I think. Some of those people going to be ready for the challenge, but a lot of them going to be, that's a lot, bro. That's intimidating. To piss Coach K off, that's intimidating, man. That's not something you just wake up and go do. So I think that game is going to be what it is. But I want us to, of course, beat Villanova because we owe them that. But even if, things didn't go exactly how they were supposed to go for us in the championship, I want Coach to get his shot at him. And if we have to take an L to somebody so close to the finish line, I would rather it be him than the newly formed North Carolina coach. I don't want it. I want it to be Duke. I think that will be the best team to take it.
And I do think it's going to be Duke as well. And probably the best thing that happened, and again, 2 weeks ago, probably, or whatever it was, it probably didn't feel this way. But that loss at home to North Carolina probably was, now in retrospect, one of the best things that could have happened for Duke, in the sense that, you know, they know what happened. And so now they have that film and they can figure out what went wrong. But I think also that revenge factor as well. Coach K has been doing this too long, and he's going to be ready. He's going to be ready.
He knows how to get the team ready.
They're going to be ready.
It'll be fun. And then on the other side, we got, you know, Kansas and Villanova. Villanova ranks, I saw somewhere earlier, they're 323rd in the country as far as bench minutes. They've played 6-man rotation all year, and then they just lost somebody who averages 15 points a game to an ACL tear. So now you've got a 5-man rotation pretty much playing Kansas. Do you guys think that there's ever a little bit of, like, you know, you remember when Ochai was out earlier in the season with COVID, and we went to Iowa State and everybody was like, Ochai's been carrying this team, this and that. Now he's out. You know, the rotation was looking kind of short, and then the team came out and just balled out.
Yep.
I'm a little worried about that. Something about that, like, wounded, you know, warrior type mentality as a team to come together and stuff. It worries me a little bit. And I don't know if you guys are feeling it at all, but I mean, to have, you got 5 guys who are probably all going to play pretty much the whole game for Villanova. Obviously, that could hurt them. We know how that can go, but it also could be a situation where they come out, you know, clawing and fighting a little bit harder than they would have otherwise.
Let me ask you a question, Landon.
Yeah.
So people like me and you, we're ready for stuff like that. Coach then told us, like, your number gonna get called. Your number gonna get called, right? Mm-hmm. Like we embrace that kind of stuff, right? You talk about Och, right? That was in a Big 12 game. That was, you know, down the street. That wasn't the biggest thing ever. Dude, we're talking about the Final Four. You're gonna have 100,000 people watching you, and you gotta go and do something you ain't had many reps at all year against a number 1 seed. That's pretty good, that you've pissed off recently more than one time, and you're wounded. And Coach Self got a lot going on himself. Think about it, bro. He got all of the stuff he got going on. He just lost his dad, this, that, and the third. Like, he want to smile too. He want to beat the hell out of somebody too, right? So I think that all of that mixed together is more dangerous than a kid that ain't get reps and might come in and just play the game of his life. You know, like, he got to worry about combo if they do start warming up. Like, he gonna have, it's too much, Landon. Like, I don't want to just sit here and scrap Villanova, but would you read me that statistic that I didn't know anything about? It's gonna be almost impossible for them to really compete. They're gonna have to play cautiously. You can't get into foul trouble. You know, we throwing it to Big Dave right away. You got to let him score 40 now. You have to. You can't foul him. You can't foul him, because if you do, you're gonna put a kid that ain't never had to be ready in front of 80,000 people, and I don't know how that's gonna go for you for an extended period of time. And the kid might get comfortable. The kid might warm up. He might make a 3, but it's gonna take him some time to do that. It's easier to do it at Iowa State than in that gym that they're gonna be in. That's a lot. It's only a couple people built for that. It ain't too many people built for that.
Dave, you're spot on, man. And you said almost exactly what I was going to say. You know, there's a big difference between middle of January or whatever it was, and April. And then in April and Final Four. I mean, that's a huge difference. The stage is massively different. And so, you know, you can't just play your normal game, because you have to be so worried about foul trouble or about, you know, are the guys who don't play a whole lot of reps, are they going to be, is this the stage going to be too bright for them? And I'll tell you, there's one other piece to it. And Elijah, you were kind of going that way, and I thought you were going all the way that way. You kind of stopped, about Bill Self. Bill Self needs another ring. Okay. It's been a long time. Not that he needs it, but I know that he wants another ring. It's been a long time since that 08 team. And he's had some bites at it. He's been close, but he hasn't come all the way through. I think this is he can smell it. He can feel it. I know that it's close. And I think this team that's out there now, especially with Remy playing like Remy's been playing, I think this is his chance to finally get another championship and another banner.
No, I agree. I think he sees it also. And you know, the path has just completely just opened up for them all the way. You know, they got some really good matchups to make it to this point, and then now they're getting a Villanova team that's going to be pretty handicapped. I think he sees, you know, just how big of an opportunity this is. And then if you make it past this, you're either going to get a North Carolina, which I think all of us feel like they're not going to make it past Duke, but either them or a Duke team that, you know, it's just one game and you could beat a Duke. You know, it's not like we're talking about some team that is some, you know, oh, we're just happy to be there, Cinderella. We're Kansas, you know, so
y'all getting me so excited right now.
We could beat anybody in the country. So it's like, you know, I think he sees the same opportunity. He's going to have those guys ready. It's going to be fun as hell. And if they, you know, can get past and then meet Coach K and Duke in the finals, it's going to be fun. You know, it's going to be fun as a fan and I'm sure as a player. And if we could get that done, I know the Mario's miracle and stuff was big, and that's always going to be remembered because of the shot. But if there's any kind of drama in a game where we took out Coach K in his very last game to win a national championship,
wow,
that will be the one that people remember for a very, very long time.
Amazing.
And I've said this before about Remy. If he continues to play this way, he was the most outstanding player in the Midwest. And if he continues to play this way and is the Final Four MVP as well, tournament MVP, and they win, his legendary status at Kansas goes up way through the roof after that. And
hey, that ain't fair though, man. He just came in there. He didn't even put his dues in, bro. Now I'm getting mad because he finna have a path to walk down, and I ain't even got.
You know, and that's the crazy thing is it's almost a little bit of like, you know, you don't have a huge sample. He was hurt for most of the year. All this stuff. He's gonna come out and show out for a few weeks span, and his status is gonna go through the roof. But I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it. It'll be a fun one. I want to start to wrap this up because we've gone for a while now. We could talk forever about this stuff, but we have a few sub in or sub outs that we got prepared. So I'm gonna throw them out. Elijah, you haven't been with us for these, but pretty much you just sub in or sub out on the statement. You're either in on it or you're out on it. So we're gonna go over. We got a couple of them. The first one is Remy Martin will win the tournament MVP. Are you subbing in or subbing out on that?
And if I sub in, that means that I agree.
You agree?
Yeah, I sub in.
Dan?
I'm gonna sub out actually, because I think these next two games is going to be the Ochai hour. I think he's gonna show why he's one of the best players in the country, and I think Remy's going to be a major piece to this. But I think that in the end, when it's big buckets, when you see the big dunks and all that, it's going to be Ochai, and I think he's going to be the most outstanding player.
Right.
Do you agree with that, Landon?
I'm going to actually sub in. I think that if if Kansas, I mean, obviously to win the MVP, Kansas is going to have to win. So we're assuming that they win here. I do think it's going to be Remy. Ochai, he's played a big role all year, and I feel like he will have his moments. But Remy's, he's feeling it. He's feeling confidence. And you know how it is, Elijah, when you get into a certain mode in the right time, especially a time where there is no real like breaks to get off of that mode. You're just going game to game. Like you said, you're so like, there's so much going on. You just slide into the next game with that same momentum, same confidence and stuff. There's no like practices to like mentally get you off or anything. I'm going to roll with the guy who's mentally and just there. He has all the confidence in the world right now. He just won the MVP of the regional. And I think that, you know, in these two games coming up, if he just, does his thing, he's going to stand out because he is obviously a guy that's can score a lot, bring energy, do all those little things that are going to show up. And if you're going to name an MVP at the end of it, I could 100% see it being Remy. So I'm going to sub in on that one. So
I'm with you.
We got 2 in, 1
Whatever. The best part though is if one of them win it, that means that the KU won it.
That's
so that's a positive.
That's the important part. All right, next quick one. Is this the biggest Final Four that you guys can remember in recent memory? So last, let's just say 20 years. Is this the biggest one that you guys remember, or are you subbing in or subbing out on that?
Last 20 years, you guys were like 9 and 10 years old or whatever. So you're just kids. So you don't even remember that. It's a big Final Fours out there.
In recent last 10 years, what are you thinking? Is this the biggest one?
It just, listen,
can you think of one bigger?
You have to say this is the biggest one in recent memory. And it's because of all the stuff we've already talked about. You're just not going to see a matchup. Like for instance, if you just took out Duke and inserted Gonzaga, which is what I thought was going to happen originally. Yeah. This is completely different, and we're talking about pretty much pretty average Final Four. But now you insert Duke and all of the situation with Coach K and then playing North Carolina. I mean, you just can't, like you said, you can't script things as better than what is happening. So
I'm almost wondering if this was finessed. We got to look back at all
it could be. Hey, if you think about
them referees was calling the right
if you
call,
think about, and people joke about that a lot, but if you think about the dollar signs that this is bringing right now,
yes,
this next week, it without question could at least be considered. Now, I think that sports in general sometimes will just give you storylines that it's just like, wow, that just is better, that you couldn't write it any better. It just happens that way. But you got to question it because of the fact that dollar amount wise, it has to be 4x at least this whole matchup instead of what it would have been if you have one of those teams not make it.
It is Duke though, right? So it's not like Coach K took Alabama, Birmingham all the way to the Final Four. Okay, so let's not go so far that it's so unreasonable to think that the number 2 seed made the Final Four.
I think it's realistic that he made it, and I thought that they would. What a lot of people don't know, and if we could take this off the episode, I love it. But I've been cheering for Duke this whole tournament.
Because of Coach K?
Nope, because of Ben Kiro. I like him. I like the kid, and I've been wanting to see him play. I've been watching him and Imani the whole year, and I want to see them play on the biggest stage I can see them play on before I have to watch them in the NBA for 10 years.
Yeah, no, fair.
So that's why I wanted that to happen. So getting them there wasn't so much the conspiracy theory. My conspiracy theory kicked in, whereas it's like, what is the chances of it happening like now? And then like all of the gambling and stuff that go into it. That's where my conspiracy theory kicks in.
Not me. Not me. I think it's just the way it happened. The best teams got to, and again, it's about navigating a minefield, and they did it, and it's going to be great. Looking forward to it.
So here's the last sub in or sub out. We'll end with this. I got asked this on the golf course the other day, so I want to ask you guys. It's a little off topic, but we covered it a little bit earlier in the episode. This Will Smith thing. So sub in or sub out that Will Smith and this slap just passed the Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake halftime show as the craziest live television moment that you guys remember. And if you sub out, you could also give some other, moment that you guys are remembering. But is this now the craziest thing that you guys have seen on live television?
For me, craziest, if you're comparing those two, the craziest was definitely the Janet Jackson boob flash. To me. And the reason being is that it actually created a new phrase, which is wardrobe malfunction, right? Like you never even heard about that prior to that. And the second part is that the stage was even bigger. I know the Oscars is a big stage, But
Yeah.
when you got a billion people watching the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden this woman's boob flies out, which Landon was like 10, and he saw that boob fly out, and he was like,
I actually didn't see it. I didn't know what happened.
Saw it. He was like, he's looking
I
around.
didn't know what happened either. I didn't understand what was going on.
So I go with, I don't know if it was sub in or out, but I go with the wardrobe malfunction as the biggest
Wardrobe malfunction.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sticking with it.
I don't watch TV much, y'all. Like, so my stuff is gonna kick in when the internet kicked in, and I'm not even big on that. But I would probably say, yeah, definitely probably this. I agree with you. That was a little bit different. That's a little bit different. You can explain to your kid, you know, why a person might get slapped or what a slap is, or they know what that is, and they can kind of, but when you do stuff like that, it just creates an awkwardness to even have that conversation. You know, like if I'm watching this with my grandma and that happens, if I'm watching this with my kid, it's a complete different kind of energy. This one was more just like, oh wow, you know, ain't that what Chris Rock said? Wow.
So I'm gonna sub in and say that this was bigger, and the reason why is because
this was bigger.
I'm gonna say Will's was, and the reason why is because you got, and listen, you guys both went the other way, so I'm gonna give the other side. You got a situation with Janet that was a complete accident. I mean, for the most part, an accident. The other night, you had Will Smith and Chris Rock. Will Smith and Chris Rock put two of the biggest names in Hollywood ever. And Will Smith decided to go up on the stage and slap this man in front of everybody, like slap him, and then go sit down. I mean, that's stuff that, I mean, that whole, I was watching that thinking like, damn, like this, it feels like a movie. Everything in the last couple of years has started to feel like a movie with, you know, all the different things going on in the world and stuff. But then when you saw Will Smith go on the stage and slap Chris Rock upside the head, I'm gonna put that as in front. And you know, I heard it from the internet too, so it took away a little bit of that live, like,
right,
seeing it for the first time. But if I guess I'm, you know, using it as if I was watching it live, how shocked I would be. But I was shocked watching it afterwards too. But yeah, that had to be, for me, that's crazy.
That's crazy. When you say it like that and you break it down and you're like, that was an accident. This man went out of his way. You're right.
Out of his way to slap.
That's on the Kanye level.
Oh yeah.
10 years from now, nobody's gonna be talking about this at the same level.
You're crazy.
10 years from now, it'll just be. People remember that one time? Maybe.
No, people still talk about Kanye going up and saying, "Hey, Beyonce should have won this award," and shrugging and whatnot. People talk about that, and Kanye did not slap anybody, and it wasn't anybody. You know,
and somebody in India saw Janet Jackson's nipple. So that I'm telling you, that trumps everything else.
Who in India is watching the Super Bowl to start off? You're acting like the Super Bowl is some like worldwide.
If you want to talk about ratings, you just look at the different ratings and then see that.
All right. Well, anyway.
Okay, we went off the rails here. We talking about nipples.
We are. But anyway, it was fun. It was a all over the place episode. And Elijah, I appreciate you coming on and spending some time talking to us. But yeah, it was fun. I'm looking forward to this Final Four. I know I said my competitive, you know, aspect of it, but as a fan, I cannot be more excited to have Coach K in it as well and all that stuff. I'm looking forward to it, and it'll be a fun week for us.
All right, man. I appreciate you having me, man. This was fun. I wish we could go there. Tell somebody to send us a PJ, bro.
For sure. Yeah. And Coach Self, man, he's making 55 mil or whatever it is. He could pick up some of his old players and take us down there.
NIL or whatever it's called. They need to figure that out.
For sure. All right, man. Well, have a good one. It's always nice having you on, and enjoy watching the Final Four.
I will, bro. Appreciate y'all. Let me know whenever y'all doing another one and I can hop on, man. This is fun.
We will. All right. Have a good one, man.
Yeah. All right. Y'all. Later.
Bye-bye.
All right, well, we'll wrap this episode up. It was a all over the place one, crazy one.
We went all over the place, and then you brought it back
and
around.
the thing that I like though is that we go all over the place, and it really weeds out the people who listen that don't really care. You know, if you've made it this far, you are a dedicated listener, and we appreciate you.
Yes.
You know, obviously, we appreciate the support. We hope that next week when we do this, we are celebrating a national champion. Hey, if we win a national championship on our first season doing this, I think that, you know, some credit has to go to the Glue Guys podcast being a thing.
No
we started podcasts from the beginning of the season. All of a sudden, this is the season that they win their 6th national championship.
No, and we've had several other players.
We had some current players on. We had some coaches on. You know, stuff we've said on here has been repeated to players in the locker room.
So they're getting better because of the Glue Guys.
We gotta take some credit. If we already made the Final Four, but if we go and win a national championship, we got to get a little bit of credit for that.
You know what? I got an idea. What if we did? I don't know if this is possible or not, and it'd be all on you to coordinate. Yeah. But you want to watch the Villanova game with other people live doing a Glue Guy live episode.
We can 100% do that.
And I
don't know how to set that up, but you know, we have people who may know a little bit more than I do. So
I think that would be really fun. We get some, use the Rolodex, call some of your folks.
It's going to be fun until all of a sudden Villanova goes absolutely insanely crazy from 3 and we lose the game, and then everybody on the Zoom's like, right, well.
Hey, but at least you can, but I think it'd be kind of fun. We could chat about what's going on like in real time. I don't know if it's possible or not. I'm an insurance guy, but
we could give it a shot. I'm not the best at that, but like I said, we got people who do. So
I just throw it out and let you figure it out.
And
anyway,
I like the suggestion, but it was nice talking to you, and we will go ahead and end this episode here. It's gone a little long, but it's all right. We'll be back next week and hopefully celebrating a national championship, and maybe before, if we can get some kind of live episode, we could do that. Maybe a quick game recap right afterwards or something. If that doesn't work, we'll figure something out. But it was nice sitting here talking for a little while, and if you are still listening, we appreciate you, and thank you for listening.
All right, take care, everybody.